How to sew a dart. Take your template, which you've printed off, and if you can't print it off, you can sort of somehow trace it. Take a piece of cotton fabric, it doesn't matter what type, and you're going to place your pattern onto the right side. That's my wrong side. Pin it in place, and then cut around your pattern. So this is your pattern on the outside, and then along here. Now you've cut your pattern out, you need to mark your single dart and you need to mark your double dart. I'm going to use the chalk and the tracing wheel. If you have a pen and some needles, you can do that method as well. And remember, we poke our needle through to the other side. And you just might want to find some places for your single dart to poke through. And for the sample purposes, if you don't have a friction pen or a piece of chalk, you can use a pencil. Flip it over, mark your dots. Then grab a ruler and draw out your lines. And don't forget to mark the square on the back. For my other one, I'm going to use my tracing wheel and my chalk paper. Again, I'm going to use a ruler. I'm going to mark the center of my dart just so I know that's where I'm going to overlap in my stitching. And I'm going to mark the end points of both of these darts. So here you should be able to see the green. Now I'm ready to start to pin. We're going to start with the single dart. We're going to go good sides together. And the idea is that this line is going to match that line ending in this point. So we're going to kind of see if we can pin that. And we always want the heads of the pins to be by the fold line. Now, my pattern isn't perfect. It should be lining up, but it doesn't, so that's okay. So when I pin on this side, it's important that the pin comes out directly on the other side. That should be enough pins. Okay. Now I've actually done it on the wrong side because we want to sew from the wide side and I actually want to flip it, which isn't too bad. You can still take your pins out. If you want to repin it, go ahead. This one I can leave, that's fine down here. Okay. I'm going to start from up here, I'm going to back stitch. And I'm going to follow this orange line. When I come close to the end, I'm actually going to reduce my stitch length to 1. And I'm going to do it so that I'm just right on that fold line, and then I'm going to come off. So I'm going to use a straight stitch, a 5A 2.5. That might look a little different on your machine. I've got a different machine at home as well. My needle is in the center. I'm using 2 different colored threads so that you can see both sides. I'm going to line it up. I'm going to go forwards a couple and then backwards. So don't go crazy on your back stitch. And And now I'm going to go ahead. Remember, when you come to your needle, stop. So now I'm getting close to the end. I'm going to wait till I'm a little bit closer, and I'm going to reduce my stitch length to probably about a 1.5. And sometimes what I like to do is actually hand wheel it. And the idea is you want to get it so that your stitches are just on that fabric point. So I'm going to keep going. My stitch length is a little bit reduced, and you want to do it so that your last stitch is right along that fold line. And sometimes this takes a little bit of practice. Once you're done that, lift up your presser foot. You should end up right at the end. Pull your threads out nice and long. You're going to now tie off your threads right at that end, just twice, and then trim. Just like that. So you're going to look like this on one side, and you can see on the other side my pink followed that orange line perfectly. Trim your threads, and now we're going to press it. This is a pressing ham used to press starts. If you don't have one of these, you can always Google, make your own, or just put it on flat onto your ironing board. The tip of the dart wants to be by the tip of the pressing ham. The idea is that we don't get a point at the end of our dart. Take your iron, place it along the far side. We're going to press this downwards, and then come to that tip and really smooth that out. Nice and smooth. Turn it around. Okay. For the sample, you don't need a press cloth. If you're doing this on an actual garment, you do want to use a press cloth. And then you're going to press just along the part that you have sewn. We don't want to imprint it. And then just press that tip down. Let it cool. I always like to put my hands here to kind of give it some shape. And then once it's cool to the touch, you can take it off. And what the dart does is it gives our garment that shape that we want. Same idea with a double dart. We're going to start in the center, work our way to one end, start in the center, work our way to the other. So we'll fold this guy in the center, take a pin, pin it through, and make sure it comes on the other side. If it doesn't quite match it, we've got to move that slightly. Try again, and now it's perfect. But you're going to pin it. I'm going to pin my end right along that end point. And then continue. Because I'm going to sew from this direction here, I want my pins here, but I can't sew like this going the other direction. So I'm going to actually flip it over and pin the other way. So now I've got both ends sewn. So I'm going to start here at the center, take my needle out. This is where I'm just going to do a couple little back stitches. And it's just, you're doing 2 single darts, so think of it like that. So I'm coming to the end point again, so that my last part is right along that fold line. Take a couple stitches right along that fold line if you can. Mine's acting up. And then bring it out and tie it off. And now you're going to go the other direction. You're going to start at the center again, and you're going to overlap just slightly. Make sure you return to your 2.5. Coming a little bit closer, I'm going to reduce to a 1.5 stitch, and I'm getting it right along that fold line. One more if I can. And now you're going to tie it off. So now you can see I've got green on this side and pink on that side, and it's following pretty perfectly the part that I have traced out. And if I flip it, it's exactly the same on the other side. And now we're going to press this. So this time we're going to press the double dart, and we're going to press it towards the center, so away from the bust dart. Place it over your ham, and same thing like we did our single. We're going to make sure we don't have a point. So we're going to start from that center point and come and just give it a nice little crease. Okay. Flip this guy around, bring the point down, and press it down like this. Okay, making sure we've got that point. Now we can pull it over to the other side. And again, flattening that out with your fingers. Taking that point and just pressing it just a little bit. Holding it until it cools. And then repeating on the other side. So there we can see we've got our single dart and our double dart.